What's up, hackers? This is Emmanuel here on Cyber Compact, and in this video, we will be building a port scanner. So, this is going to be a very portable port scanner that you can type in an IP address and it goes out and scans all the open ports on that IP address and returns it. Now, there is a tool available on Linux that does this, but the advantage of this is that it is lightweight and runs very fast. Now you can imagine when you have close to 1,000 IP addresses that you want to run through. So this would be a very fast one for you. It will just pinpoint the open ports on the various IPs that you have for you. So at the end of this video, we should be able to go into our tool and then run it like this. So Python 3 port scanner.py, then our IP address 92.168.59.4.4. So it should be able to scan our IP address and provide us with the open port. All right, I can't wait to begin. Let's concoct. So now I have created a directory named port scanner. So I'm going to seed into it. Port scanner ls. As you can see, the directory is empty. So we need to create a Python file and name it port scanner. You can use whatever text editor you have. I'm going to use Mousepad. So Mousepad port scanner.py. I'm going to do this to open a thread so I can run it at the background. Okay. Now this is what we have. So we will begin by adding our shebang, being Python 3. You save, you have a blue coloring there. Now we need to import a couple of libraries. So we need a sys library. We need the socket. So we're going to import socket. We will need datetime. So from datetime, we want to import datetime. We will also need time. You will see the importance in a minute. All right, so we are going to create a function and we will call this scan port. So dev ports. Now our function is going to take as argument target the start port. Now this is the port we want to begin our scanning from, and then the end port. So this is the port we want to stop at. So for example, if we want to scan, let's say from port 20 to port 50, we can just specify it when we run the program. Like I say, this makes our code very fast and our tool a very lightweight tool. Now we need to print our banner as we saw in the demo. So print this and I'll go ahead and multiply by 50. I want to also print string starting port scan of target. Now provide our target. Then we close the print statement. We want to print a couple more things. Print scan started this is the time we start the scan. So we are going to date time dot now, and then we want to end the banner 50. Now this will give us a pretty nice banner. Now we want to put our logic in a try except uh, function. So we want to try. Now this will enable us to regulate our program flow and then not crash our tool when an error is encountered. So we want to try except. All right, let me skip this for now. So we want to try. Now we'll create a variable named open port, which will be an empty list. This will contain whatever port that we identify as open from the scan. Next, we want a for loop because we want to loop through the port that we've got, right? So our for loop for port in range, then want to start from the start port and then end port +1. We need to add 1 because our range does not include the end port. So we need to add 1 to make sure that we cover the end ports that we specified. So we go ahead and close this. Now we will type this with socket.socket socket.af underscore inet, then socket.sockstream as SOC. Now, as opposed to the conventional way of defining an object like this, SOC equal to socket.socket. Now, what this, as opposed to doing it like this, what we are doing with this is that this will go ahead and close the connection, close the socket for us when we are done. So with this, we'll need to specify it manually. So we'll go ahead and clear that out. So now we've defined our socket as sock. Now we want to go ahead and set our socket timeout. Dot set timeout. Put 1 second there. This will ensure that once we ping an IP address for 1 second, if we don't get anything back, we'll move on to the next. All right. So we want to capture the result. So we want to capture it in a variable, and then we have soc.connect ex. Now, there is a module on socket called connect. Now we are using the connect ex. What is this? So this one returns an execution code. So as opposed to just connect that returns an exception error. So what this does is when we run it, if it's successful, it returns a code, for example, 0 for success and otherwise. So we'll go ahead and use this. So we want to connect to our target and then the port, which we'll specify in this for loop. Now we want to check the results. So if result equal to 0, that means we have a successful connection. That means the port is open. We want to go ahead and print the port. And then we want to update our uh, list. To do that, we say open ports dot append, and then we want to append it with port. And now we sleep for 1 second. The reason I'm putting this sleep of 1 second here is we don't just want to run through the code as is. If we do that, we wouldn't be able to see the action as it to just run through it and then provide the output in split seconds. So we need a little sleep here of 1 second. Okay, so we want to, after this for loop, we want to print the found open ports. So we are going to print found open ports on target. Then on a new line, we want to provide the open ports that we found. So we do this ports, and then we close the print statement. Now remember, we are in a try except function, so we need to catch some exceptions. So the first one will be keyboard interrupt. Now if we hit like Ctrl C or escape, this is the exception that will be caught. I want to print it out. So print on a new line, exiting the scan, close it out. Okay. Now we want to catch another exception, and this one is a socket dot guide error. Okay, so I will explain what this does in a minute. I want to print host name IP could not be resolved. Okay, so what is this doing? Now the socket guide error will be thrown if the IP we provide or the host name cannot be resolved. Usually is for the host name. So if, for example, we provide something like tryme.com or hackme.com, and then the name could not be resolved to its corresponding IP address, then this error will be thrown. So we'll cache it right here. Okay, then we need to catch one more exception, which is the socket dot error. Now this is a socket error. If we are unable to create a socket connection for whatever reason, we'll catch that error here. So we want to print could not connect to server. Okay, and then we want to system.exit. Okay, and we also want to exit this places also. Go back here, sorry. All right, So we are almost done, a couple more lines, and then we are done with our code. Now we want to create a simple execution logic here. So if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to underscore underscore main, we are checking to see if we are running this file directly or it's being imported as a module. So if it's being run directly, this is what we run. So remember our sys that we imported. Now we're going to make use of it here. So if len sys.argv is equal to 2, I will explain this in a minute. We want to create a target, and our target is going to be socket.getHost by name. I want to get the sys.argv at index 1. Close this out. All right. Then we want to run our function, which is called scanports. I'm providing the target, and then a range of IP, a range of ports. Let's say port 20 to 150. Else, we want to just print invalid IP address host name, and then on a new line, we want to give them a help, syntax help. So we run it by typing Python 3 port scanner or whatever you name the file, py, and then our IP address or host name. Okay, then we'll close it and close this out. So let me explain what this line is doing. So system.argv, what does this mean? For example, when we run a command, let's say we are running for example bash, and then we have a script named help.bash sorry. Okay, now by default, this help.sh, which is the name of the file we try to run, is the first argument which will occupy index 0. So if we have other arguments, like let's say we provided, for example, an integer 2 and then maybe a string of name, for example. Now these two will occupy argument 2, which will be index 1. Likewise, this will occupy argument 3, which will be index 2. So that's what we are doing here in this code. So this is what we are doing here. We are checking to see if the user has imputed 2 arguments, because that's what we need for our file to run. We need the IP address for the file to run. So if it checks and it discovers that it is 2, then we can go ahead and run our file. Else, we provide an error message and then a syntax for the user to be able to run the file. Okay, let's go ahead and run this file. First of all, we need to save it, and then we can close it. I'll clear my screen. ls, we have our port scanner. We have to change the mode so that we'll be able to execute it. So change mode, port scanner.py, ls again. Now we can run it. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I have put up a machine that will scan, and the IP of this machine will be given shortly. So to run our file, we can Python 3. The name of my file is port scanner. Sorry, clear the screen. Python 3 port scanner.py, and then the IP address of my target is 192.168.59.4. So if we didn't make any typo, we didn't make any error, this should run flawlessly. Looks like we have an error. Okay, you say indentation error, expected an indented block after width. All right, so let's go ahead and check it. So mouse pad, port scanner. Okay, so it's complaining about this block of code. So let's go ahead and tap this in. We should be good right now. Close it and run it again. Before that, I want to clear my screen, then run it again. All right, it looks like we are good. Okay, so our code ran successfally and we have been able to scan the ports available on this machine. Starting port scan of target 192.168.594. Scan started at 2024-02-13 at this time, and these are the open ports. So here you go. If you enjoyed this video so far, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, see you in the next video.